Shield Hero. We're gonna do a quick review up to the point where
he gets respect.
Yeah, he gets his redemption.
Episode 20 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
I think it's alright.
Rise of the Shield Hero.
Like the show in general.
Yeah.
I disagree.
I don't know where the hype was coming from necessarily that I would say it was overhyped. I felt like some people saw it was good.
Overhyped. Maybe people was talking about it, so I expected some crazy shit, but nothing really.
It was different. It was different.
I think I think that's what it was. It was different. Like we probably have, but in recent times you've never seen a show where like they was on it with the main character the way they was on it with
Day One.
Naofumi. And they did the video game genre better. Like that's definitely top 5 of isekai shows. I think.
Yeah, and I still think it could have been better. You know, in my opinion, I guess.
That's better than Sword Art. That's all they need to do. Shit.
It wasn't.
Well, depends who you ask.
Better than the potential hype of Sword Art. Let's put it that way.
Where Sword Art could have gone?
Yeah, like don't you know those first couple episodes when you watch Sword Art, you like, oh wait.
The first episode?
This about to be lit.
Yeah.
The thing that hooked everybody.
This is survival mode?
The potential of Sword Art is higher than where that show got, where Shield Hero got. Yeah. Shield Hero was really good, but I think they did the redemption arc too quick. I think they think people care more about these waves and what's going on than we did about him being the underdog. And that's not true. Now that he redeemed, I really kind of don't give a fuck what happened to this world. Like if he would have saved the world and then got redeemed, I would have kept watching to him getting redeemed. Now I don't really.
I'll put it this way: I think I don't necessarily care about the main world, but they can potentially get me with what they do in other worlds because like opening like what the reveal of that lady did and like his redemption did was like it opened up the world to the fact that it's like okay, it's not just these Mel Remark niggas. There's a whole bunch of other niggas in other places, and that's where I wish they went down more. Cause like remember when he went up and he tried to get the class upgrades for them, and they was like nah nigga, and then they were like oh well there's hourglasses other places. I thought they were gonna use that to go like oh well let's find out what these other niggas are doing, and there would be like a whole different tier, and it looked like they was introducing like other heroes. Because there was this redhead guy that he met. Then I was like, oh, this nigga look like he got hands. Yeah, like I'm like, he probably up there. So I'm like, they're building the world. I just think that like
beta test.
They should have saved it for the redemption for the last episode of the season, and then started building the other one.
Season, I think the season has like what, it's 24 episodes. They should have kept it going. I feel like that was more of a driving factor for him. Like he was hated by everyone. Yeah. It should have been an overarching thing where...
And I don't feel like he's mastered the Rage Shield either. So I felt like it should have kind of came hand in hand with that. Where like, now that he's redeemed, he also like mastered the Rage Shield. So he doesn't actually have this hate for the people anymore. Yeah. But I feel like he's still going to have struggles with trying to master that new ability. And it's, but he loves everybody now. So it's kind of weird. So it's like, what do you hate? Like,
that Rage Shield was
they could...
Till it popped that nigga. Rage Shield when it popped you.
Wow. Yeah, no, they could have did that differently. I think the only reason they did do it early is because homie did whatchamacallit. He was gonna need some backup of the actual army to actually start hitting these waves after Glass was introduced. Because Glass showed the chick. The main chick of the enemies. Well, the fans. Right. So like after she showed up, it was pretty much like, if homie don't get a stupid power up or start working well with these kids, then they gonna get dropped. Like they had to introduce something to actually help like compete against her. So that's where the queen showed up and be like, it's all Gucci, y'all be Gucci, like to get together, actually put in work. But what they could have done differently is still, like, they still dropped the Pope, right? But still put more respect and power to Mine and the King. So there's actual, like, a versus of Queen and the Shield Hero, and then Mine and the King. So there's still kind of like that kind of internal tension there. So like that can actually kind of keep going, and maybe like half of the city's kind of divided, like half with the queen and half with the king in mind. So it's like, he can still low-key get murdered by some kind of random assassin that king wants to do. So like you still kind of have that factor, but he still is getting help to actually deal with like how strong the waves are actually getting. I can see that have been legit, but since they gave Queen like all the power, it was just like immediate. No, I ain't having this no more. Y'all gonna expect the shield hero or die. Like, so they could have did that just a little bit differently, but he did need some help. Or like some stupid power boost to actually compensate for that. So that's probably just why they do.
Oh, another thing I thought was kind of weak is the harem that they trying to pull. Like all these little girls. The harem is like
the Filo, Raphtalia.
They could have made one of them a boy. Hell, make the dude transgender. I don't give a fuck. Make it a genderless slime. But the harem is a bit stretched. He not even fucking with the other hoes.
What you mean?
Like he could just have a relationship with Raphtalia and that'd be it. The harem of little girls is not. It's boring. It's
Melty's a little weird. I'm not a fan of that.
Y'all think there's something between Melty and
I mean, they're all crushing on him for sure.
Melty crushing on him.
He's not reciprocating, but they're all crushing on him.
Pretty much.
Like Filo's crushing on him, Melty's crushing on him, Raphtalia's crushing on him.
Right.
To me, I think like what they could also do is go the kingdom route with this, where like now that we know there's all these different worlds and waves attack each of the worlds, just go look, Shield Hero, this is your domain, build that shit out. Like build an army, you figure out how to do that shit, so we get more other characters. Because I just don't.
I mean, bro, that's what he's doing.
I think there's
fight part is so background. I feel like I don't care that much about the power development of the other niggas. I'll put it that way. Like, I care about all the different shit he can do with his shield, but I don't care about, like, him, the spear hero, and the arrow hero, and the sword hero coming together to have some ultimate move. Like, I don't give a fuck about that. So, like, I would rather them just go and build their own armies as, like, a background thing, and then come back and be like, oh, I'm this strong, and I got these two backup niggas that are this strong.
I think they gonna have to deal with more, like now that the kingdom shit over, I think they gonna have to deal with that in other countries. Because if you remember, two things. One, word is out that Shield Hero is scumbag, and word don't travel that quick, that he not. And then two, they were supposed to summon them as like a whole unified planet.
Right.
But that nigga was like, fuck y'all, and summoned them all there. Right. So everybody mad at them for that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They still salty,
niggas might, they could just be like, hey, let's kill these heroes. But they said the queen
was going around to fix that shit,
that don't mean niggas is buying.
No, I'm sure not all of them.
You didn't watch the most recent episode, but the buddy ass was still thinking like, oh, I heard that the Shield Hero
the Shield Hero must come back.
After,
so like, niggas out there still think
they just don't know
it.
Right. But I mean, as far as your wishes and like the all the heroes make their own domains, that's like literally what happened. Oh, so I mean, like spoiler alert, obviously, but
I'm cool with that.
Homie got the queen to give him leadership and domain of Raphtalia's old village, and they rebuilding all that back up. So the Shield Hero is literally the lord of that.
Oh, this in the sub.
Yeah, the sub.
Oh, I was like. Yeah, honestly,
another plus for sub.
Yeah,
we be on time.
Yeah.
All right.
But no, CPT time. Deeper. There's a lot of things happening that I can't talk about.
You reading the manga?
Yeah, I just read the latest chapter today.
Man, look, hey, fuck all y'all reading Goblin Slayer.
No, bro.
Niggas out
here. You're not supposed to read it.
I'm saving it. I'm trying not to hop into the manga.
Don't read Goblin Slayer.
Because I'll be done.
Get on that.
I'll be done with me spoiled. At this point, like, shit, I'm about to be on there.
You been holding this out good, bro. Be cool.
Hey, you ain't talking about reading the manga, bro.
You must be reading it, Gramps. What the fuck? That's the whole point for the anime slot.
Hey, in the manga, this shit already resolved, bro.
Waves been the manga. He on the second game.
Waves been over in this motherfucker.
Yeah, that nigga play Call of Duty now.
Oh, y'all ain't reading Shippuden? Y'all ain't reading Rise of the Shippuden? What?
That just reminded me one thing, though. I do feel like the entire show is kind of like Naruto was before the Chunin exams, where it's random missions, and that's the part I hated the most. I feel like that's why I like it.
The villain
random.
I mean, I can understand like the filler feel of those missions, but it's like they do tie it all in the end, you know?
They do feel really filler, though.
Huh?
So they do feel really filler.
No, they did. Well, I ain't gonna lie.
Here's why it doesn't affect me, and I think it probably bothers you. Coming from like the gaming world, this is like the grind. Like, this is like, I got this boss battle, so I gotta go do this and that. So I like look at it from that lens where like, this is all the shit he has to do before he does a boss. So, like, after you beat a boss in the game, like, you got two options. I'm going to do a bunch of side quests, or I'm going to do the next boss. And depending on how fun the game is, usually if it's fun, you're doing the side quest. So I feel like that's what's going on here, where it's like all this villain of the week shit is really like, all right, I need to get to this point before the next wave comes, so I gotta like start the grind. Like that's why I look at it that way.
Let's grind some levels. I hate when
that's what you gotta do.
That's what you gotta do.
Because they at least didn't show you the real level grind, because if they show you,
it'd be hours.
If they showed you the first episode of him actually fighting them things all night, when he had to fight them little ball things, just to get to level 2. Fuck! And then you know after that the experience bar gets bigger. So from level 2 to level 3, he got to do that like 2 times as much to get there.
And that nigga on level 7 or something.
Yeah, whoa, they going pretty fast.
And they beating the shit out their little balloons.
Real niggas like, yo.
Hey, this
motherfuckers
ain't never had to do that level grind. That's why you tell.
You don't know.
He said
RuneScape. Oh, damn.
Beating bricks. Mining for some shit,
bro. Tough.
Damn.
What you think Graham Sweden hear from you besides that one comment?
Oh, shit.
Well, so, basically my opinion on it, I feel like it would have been a bit better if he would have went to like one of those other countries where people actually fuck with the Shield Hero hard, and basically after he left, everybody created this huge image of him being like the ultimate villain that they thought that they would have to end up fighting at the very end or whatever. So that basically, just like how y'all was saying, he would end up redeeming himself or whatever, but it would end up kind of setting it up where it would look like it's all of these countries fighting each other instead of all of these niggas just simply fighting whatever comes out of this, what do you call it? Out of this portal or whatever that comes out of the sky. So basically, every time he's doing something good for these other countries or whatever, the original country that summoned him would twist up the stories just to make it seem like he's a bigger and better villain or whatever. So basically, we're looking at this whole world in the perspective of a villain in this original world, just to find out that that person was a good guy the whole time. That's how I would have preferred it to go throughout the whole story the whole time, and then get redemption.
That's interesting.
So the consensus is everybody was down with the Shield Hero having the villain, him versus the whole world kind of perspective, and just wanted to keep that as long as possible.
Yeah, it's different. You don't see anything like that.
No, I feel it.
It'd be like truly him becoming the villain off nothing, and then like on that, I'm guessing they're gonna explore those plot points too, as to like why the old king hates the Shield Hero because of the previous Shield Hero or whatever. But like at the same time, I'm not as satisfied with that. I don't have a better option, but I'm not as satisfied with that being like the real reason. I would have actually preferred it more if it was like maybe like orchestrated by the world, where he just happens to end up looking bad by accident, and he like isn't actually doing anything bad, versus like them knowing he's good and just hating on him for like bullshit reasons. I don't know. Like, well, we'll see. I like Graham's ideas going with it. I actually would have liked it even more if he just like took that farther and just like owned a domain and then was just like, yeah, like our domain's just gonna do what the fuck we want. If y'all want to war, that's fine. We'll kill all of y'all. Like, but all right. Anything else on Rising of the Shield Hero? Y'all want to give it a rating before we go to the highlights up to this point?
That's a decent.
I would.
Decent as hell.
Alright. It would have been a lit minus, but I'm giving it a decent as hell plus because I know it's going down, in my opinion, after this. It was like up, and I felt like I saw his climax, and knowing that like the end is dropping a little bit, I'm giving it a decent as hell plus.
I'll probably give it a decent as hell regular. Yeah.
I'll give it a decent.
Wow, decent?
Yeah, it was decent. The ending is falling flat. It's definitely getting weaker. Yeah, it was decent.
I thought about giving it a decent money.
Damn.
Which isn't that bad. Decent money.
I mean, for like the hype of the show, it'd be surprising.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, for the hype to get a decent money is pretty disappointing.
Right. Yes, that's what I said.
I mean, like that's 3 tiers lower. Like lit is like lived up to expectations. Decent as hell is like I would classify that as overhyped. Everybody sees it differently.
You thought that this had like lit expectations going into it?
Oh yeah, 100%. I thought first episode was good, strong. It was strong first. Second was also really good because they like I like that dark underbelly that they were sticking with, where like the steel hero had to come up through doing underhanded
Grinding,
things, even though he was like still good. Like he had to take on a slave.
Yep.
He like put that curse on her slave. Even low key, the part where like they put the thing on the chick, like to. When they were doing the interrogation, and then she was like getting hurt. Even that part I thought was like really cool. But then now that it's like all about friendship, like the shonen parts are coming
she's still
through.
around too. Like she's still around, just doing shit.
Yeah.
Like,
But I mean, now she's in the background now. Like she doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Since everyone found out.
I think this is a problem of shonen. Sometimes is like it starts off as really like a seinen or like a more adult tone. And then they go like, oh no, I'm still shonen at the end of the day. Yeah, so it starts to get pulled back into like all the tropes that you usually hate seeing.
They go hard the first couple of chapters.
Yeah.
After that, we got.
That's why I fuck with Goblin Slayer. Like Goblin Slayer kept that shit adult all the way through. Like that should not be classified as a shonen at all. Like that shit was like.
Goblin Slayer helped up.
Huh?
Yeah,
Right now, maybe.
Actually, yeah, it probably does now.
It was big enough.
I might finish it.